right, you ready? Ready to go? Here we go. Here we go. Let's do this.
Here we go.
Chee! How's it, everybody? First, we gotta check our sound. Hey, we don't want to. We know what happened last week, so we gotta have a sound check. So we're gonna give a little bit of time for people out there, first of all, to join us, because we got about a good 15-second delay, you know, in case Shane goes off the rails, starts saying a bunch of swear words, and I'm trying to, like, you know, reel them back in. I'm gonna check on my own computer. Hopefully there's not.
Because we gotta check our sound.
Okay, yeah,
What's
I checked
up,
them.
Brad?
I checked it. Sounds good.
Brad,
Sounds
says
good.
sounds
Cheek!
good.
Everybody can hear us. Here we go,
Shout out
guys.
to Shauna.
Hi,
Wonderful
everyone. Yeah,
watching.
let's
Mr. Magic Blake in the house.
Thanks, guys, for being here. Thank you for being here. It's a crazy time, Shane, right? I mean, is it real for you yet? All of the life that we're living now, the reality, or is it still a little surreal for you?
Yeah, it's pretty real. But I know you were mentioning about how life in general is just so blistering fast. And so right now, when my main concern is just, what am I going to eat for lunch today? What movie am I going to watch on Netflix?
I know you like to watch all kind of movies. Yeah, what movies have you been watching lately? What kind of movies have you been watching?
The usual. Tiger King. Just had another episode on Sunday. I just DVR'd and watched that TMZ special and all kinds of stuff.
Well,
and then,
you know,
this thing too, Dark Side of the Ring.
Okay.
And there's a new episode about Jimmy Snuka, my favorite wrestler.
That's one of my favorite wrestlers. I remember seeing him at Blaisdell.
Yes.
And running. I remember I was sitting on the top level. I was with my family and my uncle them, who used to live on the campus at McKinley High School. So we used to park there. I used to grow up over there. And we would park there, party, chill, and then run across the street. And my uncle, who lived over there too, always had a WWF at the time, of course, magazine. And I was like, flip through his magazine. I remember seeing it in longs and be like, oh, I like my magazine. And I mean, can you remember those days, like, before the internet, where it's like, that's all you had was like those few things. But you know, this time is different, and times change. Like we said, we talked about the evolution of our program, but it's like, as our team has evolved and we've changed coaches and we've, you know, completed a really great season, it's like, that's not even the biggest news, you know. It's like this coronavirus has really been something that has altered everyone's life. Every single human being on the face of this planet has been affected by this, and that's, you know, a real rarity, right? To be able to, you know, be a part of something, even though it's crazy as coronavirus, but something that really affects everybody. And there's so much uncertainty really in the world. But you know, for you, what do you think about when you think of the uncertainty of not being able to be in the stands? You know, for
man, yeah, it's always in the back of my mind. I mean, I try to not even think about it because life without sports to this day is pretty rough. I mean, we're headed to watch, you know, our volleyball bowls. Was having a great season.
Yep.
It was time for March Madness to start.
Yeah.
We're just all, you know, waiting for that. And
I know baseball. If you're a baseball fan, I mean, this is the time of year too that you're gonna have. You know, you're used to just being out there and ready for opening day and getting the year started and not really having too many distractions, right? That's like one of the, you know, the only game in town usually at this time of year. It's not football season right now, but football season is right around the corner. So what does that mean? You know,
we would have been in spring camp right now. So
and talk about that. You know, talk about what that means. Just first of all, you know, like Hawaii football in the era of coronavirus, just like anywhere else, means an adjustment. You know, it's like all teams have to go through the adjustment phases. But the way that spring works, for people that don't understand, spring training, especially for a traditional fall sport like football, is the team gets a set amount of days in a row
Mm-hmm.
to hold their spring training. So
Mm-hmm.
they choose. The team chooses. Our school chooses. So you choose. You have a window from, I believe it starts in end of February. It's not. It's not that late. We just take the later. We take the
Later
later.
part
We
of it.
choose the later time because, for whatever reason, and it's just a tradition. And to me, it's pretty arbitrary. Because the coaches really haven't changed. I don't remember any coach doing it any super earlier, but honestly, there might have been. So somebody can help in the comments whether spring training has ever been in maybe February or March. But yeah, because we chose a later date being April, we lose out while some teams had their spring. And Shane, just talk about what had gone on in that period. Had our coaches been able to lead our players?
Oh, well, especially with the new regime, the Graham era. I mean, these extra practices is so critical for our team to get used to the new coaching staff, for the team to start gelling together, for everything, and just for, like I talked about it last week, all of these teams are kind of in the same boat without no spring camp. But for the schools that have this whole new coach coming in, it's a little bit, we're at a little bit bigger disadvantage as far as not getting those extra practices in. I've been watching other video conferences or video interviews, so to speak, that Coach Graham has been having, and he says he's been keeping in close contact with the players and stuff, but it's just not the same when you're not on the field.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
And you talked about Coach Graham, especially. That's bringing up his name is like he's trying to get everything off the ground started. We already had an interesting transition. Nothing messy, but nothing too long. I thought, our athletic director, Dave Matlin, had to make a move quick, and he did a pretty good job, I think. And his process is his process, like we talked about last week. It's his job, and he gets paid a lot of money to be able to make those choices. But also, it's a burden of having to live with those choices. And so far, he's done a pretty good job. So, with that, giving him another chance, he definitely, having brought in Rollo, earned that chance to get Coach Graham. But Coach Graham, a lot of us who really believe truly that a coach or anybody associated with the program should understand our team. Maybe not have local roots, but really be invested, because Rollo grew up in Northern California. He didn't grow up, I don't think, very Hawaiian. Maybe he came to Hawaii when he was a kid. I don't know, but it'd be hard pressed to find any local person that wouldn't be like, yeah, he's local. Like he's a local guy. Like he gets us, and like he acts in a way that is truly local, and we get it, except when he leaves football teams and just kind of goes to. But we're never going to stop snipping at him for that, because we love him. And but at the same time, he knew, Rollo did, that he needed to make a good impression with our community, with the local community, with fan base.
Yeah.
And it's easy for him. Not easy, but it was easier for him because he did such amazing things for us on the field. And he was in an era when we had like Timmy Chang, so it's like amazing that he even got on the field in the first place. So to be able to make those records, to be able to be a difference maker in Hawaii football history, speaks for itself. And as a coach, it speaks for itself. But Coach Graham is coming in with expectations now. He's not inheriting a team that is in the cellar, right? So, I mean, do you think it's unfair to assume that we should assume that he should be able to keep that same level? I mean, we had 10 wins last year out of 15, 67% of our games. But to you, is that fair for expectations for Coach Graham?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's fair, especially when you look at his track record. And again, we got to blame this on June Jones, right? And the 2007 season. We all got spoiled with that. I mean, we all remember that 07 season. It was magical, man. It brought the whole state together. And I think from that on, I mean, till this day, when we were looking for another coach, everyone was like, "Oh, hire June Jones, hire June Jones." And it's just, like I said, I think the fans have gotten spoiled. I mean, everybody wants to win.
Of course, yeah. Of course.
Obviously, I mean, that's a given. But yeah, I mean, just like I said, looking at Graham's track record, his past seasons, what he's done with previous teams, his record playing against Hawaii too. I mean, you can't go wrong there.
Yeah.
Looks like he's getting some good recruits coming in too. Looking forward to playing. And reading tweets here and there about our current, players. Looks like some of them are kind of fired up too.
Yeah, I think they are, and that's the thing that's cool too. I know I talked to Josh's dad, Panoke. I know he mentioned to me that his son was really excited to play for Coach Graham, and that's awesome too. And I think Coach Graham reaching out to Chevin right away was positive because
that was cool.
It showed how he was able to kind of crown Chevin as a real leader of the team and really give that expectation to him, put it upon his shoulders coming into the next year. So, Coach Graham off to a good start. So that was last week. Last week's show, we went over the 2019 season, every game. We went down the list. We talked about the departure of Coach Rolovich and also Coach Graham. And we also talked about fan attendance. That's fan support and attendance. That's probably going to be a topic that we hold on to for a little while because, it's important. And it kind of segues. Well, first of all, let's go back to just coronavirus in the area, in the Hawaii football era of coronavirus, because we're living in the coronavirus. I mean, for the rest of our lives, we're probably going to be like post, just how 9/11 was before and after. It's going to be post COVID-19 or post coronavirus.
Right? The new normal.
Of course, and then it's forcing us on. I mean, just us being right here, live streaming together. We're friends, but we're also passionate supporters of the team, and people that like to analyze the game and our team off the field and our program. So we, in this moment of no sports, devoid of all live sports, this is a way for us to come together. And I think live streaming, we've seen the popularity, seen a lot of people live streaming now. But this is how we evolve. This is how we're going to have to evolve. And today, I believe Eric Garcetti, Los Angeles mayor. So some of you might know I'm in Los Angeles actually right now, and where I've been quarantining. And he doesn't anticipate sports being approved, fans being at games for a year. And that was kind of relayed in a memo. So the LA Times article about it. It's a citation. But that's reality. I mean, to me, we hear all the time, we hear the timelines, we hear certain people give certain timelines, and, actual doctors give other timelines. But, what do you take away from that, Shane, when you hear something like that? And to you, what is your gut reaction, first of all?
Gut reaction as far as
hearing that we could be without sports. You might not be in a game the rest of the year, the rest of 2020, watching on TV. No going to games, no, staying put mostly.
I know, and it's like a roller coaster ride, because one day I'll read something saying, don't worry, sports is coming back in September or something. Then I'll read another article like, we'll probably have to continue social distancing through 2021, and like, oh my god.
Yeah.
So it's just like a roller coaster ride. But as a diehard sports fan, but pretty much football fan in general, I mean, jeez, I just can't imagine life without football. I know. Even I get teased about my wife. Hey, there's more important things than football. I understand that. But for me, just growing up with football, it's a big part of my life. It is. Brought me so much joy, so much great experiences. I wouldn't have met people like you.
Yeah.
I got so much people I met. When I go to the UH games, I've been sitting in that same section, and it's like a reunited. Every time the season starts, you're like, hey, what's up? And y'all meet up again. Hey, how you guys been doing? It's just like a family environment, man. And I wouldn't change it for anything. I told my wife, when you marry me, you're married to Hawaii football.
That's right. Uh, I'm sure you also told your wife, when you marry me, we're not getting married in the month of August, September, October, November,
Yeah,
or December, or any of those other people. No offense, that get married in the fall during
exactly.
football season. That I
Exactly. No baby luau's, no anniversary
let football
parties,
season be
no.
football season,
Yeah,
okay, people.
nothing to, yeah.
Let it
And
be
just look at the schedule. Bye
completely.
week.
Yeah, let
Bye
it
week, you
be.
can plan your wedding on the bye week. And I'll
Well,
be,
see, the problem is the NFL schedule comes out so late that you can't really, even make too many plans. I mean, we're trying to do that right
yeah,
now. So,
exactly.
everybody knows with our
Exactly.
Hawaii Sports Fans tours that we do, whenever I go to UH game, we always do an NFL game. And NFL games are difficult sometimes to schedule for me as well because they don't come out till at least around the draft. And this year they already said they're not coming out till May, early May.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be pushed back. It likely will be pushed back if there are no fans and they're unsure of whether they're even gonna have a game period or fans they have to make sure the game can get on the field first is what I'm trying to say. That's their goal. I'm sure is just keep the dates working, keep the game flowing. Whether the fans can be a part of the NFL is going to be a different question. But NFL is not Hawaii football. The NFL is not even Power 5 football. Power 5 football is a lot of money. Power 5 football can do a lot of things and pay their coaches, $10 million a year and get away with it. But Hawaii football, may not be able to survive this kind of thing in terms of, and most programs at that level in terms of how they are able to make it work, right? If you have to put a whole team in isolation and anybody that interacts with them totally away from each other, just as if we're still in a period where we're in pretty much isolation, which maybe we won't by the time August comes around. We might not be in a position to have 50,000 people. Okay, let's be honest. Right now, 20,000 people in the stadium, but and any stadium, and if places like California are saying we're not going to let you hold events for probably another year, and of course this is not official. This is a leak that was in the LA Times. What does that say about the rest? It's like when one domino falls, everything else falls. We saw that happening. I mean, I saw that happening when first the Big West tournament, which was one of the first tournaments. We have to give credit to them, our basketball teams, to, not allow fans in. But literally, once all the dominoes started falling, the NBA canceled or suspended its season, and the other seasons fall. It's not going to be like you can just flip the switch. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be a little bit of a transition. So, what are your most hopeful scenario for Lau Head right now? You would say.
Well, of course, to have football, everything to go back to normal, and like even I've seen a poll out, and I thought it would be a simple answer, but the question was, would you rather have football with no fans?
Mm-hmm.
Or just football canceled, period. So my first initial reaction was, of course I'd rather have football with no fans. But then I had friends say, but that's kind of hard because how amped up or how hyped up would players get just playing with no fans? It would be so awkward, like how I talked about watching WWE with no fans. It's like so weird. It's like the weirdest thing I've ever seen. And so I really don't know. And then somebody else had that question of if there was football season and social distancing was still in effect, would you be okay with sitting in your seat and then the next person has to sit 6 seats away from you?
Yeah.
The next person has to sit 5 rows below you. The next person has to sit 5 rows above. I was like,
seems pretty.
Yeah.
It seems pretty unlikely that you can make something like that work. It seems pretty wishful thinking to be able to have, you know, people just space out, and then like in the concourse, people just space out because like by the one or two or how many water dispensers that they have, which is great, and you let people bring in their
because Koholo has a question. He's asking
hydro flask. Oh, okay.
Asking, do you guys think that students have to be back in classrooms at universities and colleges to even start to consider having sports?
Yeah, definitely.
Back on the court, definitely.
Yeah. I mean,
definitely.
It starts everything. The NCAA has its line, right? Your company line when you're a NCAA member institution. It's student welfare, student, experience. So obviously, the health and safety of the student. If any student on campus is at risk, it means the health and safety of the student athlete is clearly at risk as well. So therefore, they're not going to let students come back without having, or not going to have the football team come back without the students back on campus. Yeah, I couldn't imagine a scenario wherein athletes come back and they're by themselves in the dorms and they just have games. This doesn't work at the college level, and right now, as society, we are debating the merits of sports, period, in general. We're debating whether we need it right now, because people are like, oh, I'm fine, I don't need it. My life is normal. I mean, even for me, as someone who's, how can I do something like going to games? I go to like 2 a week at least. And that's all gone right now for me, which is just the reality. I mean, it is what it is, I can't expect to just let things just be the same all the time. I think we have to evolve as human beings, and this virus is forcing us all to reflect on what's important for us, but also reflect on what is really what really brings us the most joy and happiness, and that's this team. So
exactly, this thing must have hit you, like when you asked me how I've been affected. For you to adjust, because man, I see your IG stories, your Twitter, like, wow, this guy is like on the go. Like, he's from one place to the next.
Like,
oh man.
And it's like I was telling people, I mean, this was an amazing year for Hawaii sports fans. We did the NFC Championship, which is amazing to see the Niners and Packers game, and then 2 weeks later being in Miami for the Super Bowl. And for me personally, obviously a lifelong Chiefs fan, it was amazing. But all of those things seem like a distant memory, like they happened in another lifetime. Like, does this the same universe? Are we living in some simulation of what the world is supposed to be like in a very parallel, crazy world? Because, I mean, it's almost like sports becomes kind of secondary. And, for me, I think, like, what we want to still retain, though, what people don't understand is behind the team, behind the game, behind, the tickets and the clothing and the attire is a fan base of highly connected family members, really loving friends that are so connected in a way that they formed such a true bond. And being behind this team, being behind any team, being behind, being able to stand, and we say in my LAFC with my soccer crew, say shoulder to shoulder, right, in the north end where the fans, and it's symbolic of being shoulder to shoulder. We are, united, and I think for us, me and you and other passionate fans like us who know each other pretty well, we're very passionate, but we also know how to be positive, right? We know how to keep it positive for the most part. We can express, but talk about that. And what are you gonna miss? About that that game day, because we didn't talk about how you like to throw the flag. Talk about that.
That's my new trademark now. So now, just the whole game experience. For me, it's more than just a football game. It's the whole game day experience. Yeah, we wake up, I pack the truck, we got to pre-plan our tailgate menu, we just a setup, waiting for the gates to open, talking to my friends, playing music, dancing, eating, drinking. It's so fun, man. It's so fun. I cannot explain how fun it is. It's so as I get older, I'm almost hitting that half a century mark.
Okay.
Every year I do the same thing. I tell my wife, I'm getting older. I think I'm not gonna be as vocal. I'm not gonna be as excitable
You're gonna
this
tune
year.
it down a little bit.
Oh, once I get onto that Aloha Stadium parking lot, I get this. I get my alter ego. The Laula head comes out, and I'm like, I'm like a 20-year-old crazy partier again.
Well, I've seen that crazy Lala head a few times. But like
So
something about that Lala head that I truly appreciate too. When I go and visit you in the stadium before the game, and when I go and make my little rounds before we walk into the stadium, is that's a cool area, right? That road that leads up, or that pathway that leads up straight to the stadium to
yeah,
the front entrance, the south end zone, and it's just like a trail of people that are high-fiving and chihuing and sharing things and saying hi, and that's a part of college football that we'll miss. So,
yeah.
people
So
underestimate things like that.
just shout out to all you fans that just are going to a game here and there, and you guys don't have a tailgate to go to, or if you want to join, feel free, man. Come stop by the La Head tailgate. You guys are all more than welcome to hang out, sing a song. If you guys are comfortable singing Backstreet Boys with me, hey, help yourself to some food. We got drinks, we got beer, we got soda. Just come by, man. Enjoy.
You got shout out some of your crew. I'm sure some of them probably listening right now. We got
I saw Insane Hawaiian on here. Ben, he's the guy he's the Chugga guy. He's on here. I saw him earlier showing the shaka. Yes, he Chug 40s. That's that guy. It's just fun, man. Good times.
Have you over your time converted people as well? Like made new UH fans, or invited people, and they become lifelong fans as well?
Yeah. I got a couple, Kawi comes now. He looks forward to coming every game. And then even my coworker, he's a Notre Dame fan. So he always rags me about how we lost to them in that Hawaii Bowl that year.
Oh, God, yeah.
So now, before he said he has so much fun tailgating with us. He'll just tailgate with us, and then he leaves. He doesn't even go to the games. But now his daughter is part of she's part of the UH drumline. Mm-hmm. So now he comes into the games. So like, now you gotta come into.
See, now you gotta come into the games. Well, speaking of, and that's a good place to transition. So we're gonna move into the next thing, and we won't talk about some of you that may have been following my my Instagram or any of my other personal social media channels.
The Boflo is on here. What's up?
There's the Boflo. Well, we're going to talk about something that I came across myself on Facebook. And a UH professor basically cutting to the chase, so to speak. A UH professor has called to cut the team completely. And something I bring that up, it's not like it's just a very divergent voice where someone's just like in left field. Like, there are people that support this notion, a lot of people on campus. And I think that being ignorant to the fact that your team could be in jeopardy and the funding for your team, especially now. I mean, what was our last topic? You at Hawaii football in the age of coronavirus, especially now when teams are very tenuous, in a very tenuous position. Of course, personally, that's not good. I would never let that happen. Personally, I'd probably go on my own little, crusade. But at the same time, I can see where the arguments are coming from. But, just talk about kind of your feelings and what your immediate knee-jerk reaction is to something like this.
Immediate knee-jerk. Well, I agree with you. I understand where these people are coming from, but at the same time, I don't truly believe that the people that are are saying to get rid of football is people that don't even watch or have no like, you know, have no enjoyment watching
Yeah.
the game.
Mm-hmm.
And like we talked about it this a little last night that I understand money is what makes everything click. I understand that, but with with football, well, not just necessarily football, with sports in general, it brings people together. I've experienced so many times where you watch this super good game and everybody, you know. And well, like for me personally, when my team loses, whether it be UH, of course, or the Seahawks, my wife knows like you cannot talk to me for at least 3-4 days. Just leave me alone for a little while,
Yeah.
please, because I'm like all monku. So that's how much invested I have in my team.
So yeah, that's nice, and we're gonna play a little bit of devil's advocate though. So we talked about that, talk about this because saying that's nice. Like people are like, that's awesome, Shane. I'm glad you are so invested in it that you go crazy because that's great for you. But that doesn't mean that I want to spend this much money on. I don't think that a coach should make 800,000. What do you say to that though, Shane? I mean, it's a legitimate argument, right?
Oh yeah, it is. It is a legitimate argument. Well, geez, that's a tough one for me to answer. Cause I'm extremely biased, yeah. Because I'm like, oh, don't take away football. I wouldn't even want them to cut any sport, be it soccer, be it swimming, be it water polo, sailing, golf.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want them to cut anything. And I know I was just listening to another podcast. I know some schools. One school cut soccer, and another D1 school cut wrestling.
Yeah.
So I say, oh man, I just don't want that to happen. Yeah, I mean, I just can't imagine putting myself in those shoes where athletes take blood, sweat, and tears, you know, to give up so much of your life to practice, work hard to be the best, and then to say, oh, we're gonna cancel your program. Like, oh man, I was just like brutal, man. It's like heart wrenching, man.
We'll talk about though what specifically, and I'm gonna bring up kind of the image of so people can see the Facebook image. But the first thing she says, and I'm gonna bring this up, is the football program is not what it used to be. And I don't just mean in terms of win success. It's not Hawaii's team anymore. We don't fill the stadium. We don't watch the games. And by and large, it's not Hawaii's local kids. So is that a true statement, do you think?
I don't think that's a true statement. We got a lot of local kids on the team.
Mm-hmm.
And that statement of nobody watching, I know a lot of people that watch the game. They don't necessarily go to the stadium to watch the game, but I know a lot of people that watch the games. As far as
see, putting you on the spot is difficult. I mean, it's like it's, and that's why when we come on, it's like that's the hard stuff. You gotta. I mean, these are not. When you're sitting in, if the Board of Regents has a hearing and they want to hear who cares about football, who's going to be there? How many people are going to go down besides me and you? How many people are going to give testimony? How many people are that invested, And that's the thing, is that if emotionally invested, what she's saying is true if it's not the same team. Because, you and I both know that it's hard. We talked about our Sugar Bowl season, how often, and all the cool trips we did, and that was even before we knew each other. The two of us really are that tight, and we all were there though, with 19, 20, 25,000 other people. I don't know how many Hawaii fans were there, but where are they? That's as many as come to a home game, period. Let alone go to travel to New Orleans all the way from home, from our island. So. That's something to think about. But what do you think it is? What if somebody says there's not that many local kids? The best kids are leaving, right? So, what can we do about that? If that's the biggest problem.
I mean, well, Hawaii program in general, we've never gotten like the top Hawaii local kids to stay home.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've always gotten a handful in the top 10 here and there, but I mean, to compete with the big boys, it's just like Rolo leaving. I mean, sometimes as a high school kid, 18 years old, and I'm gonna take my my official trip to UH, and then I'm gonna go on my official trip to like Oregon. Of course, I'm gonna be like, oh, I like Oregon, you know.
Yeah.
It's so it just, I know the players that play here, when they get asked, oh, why did you decide to stay home? It's because, oh, I like play in front of my family, you know. I like play for the state of Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
So it has to be the way you were brought up, or it just has to be this in your heart to want to play here and play with that Hawaii across your chest. It's just different.
So I brought up a Facebook comment, or the actual Facebook comment, so people can see. And this is Professor Jamaica Osorio, who some of you might recognize her name because she's prominent faculty member up on the Mauna, on Mauna Kea, and she's one of the kia'i that are very vocal and instrumental in just providing that support and really that leadership. And I spent the day up there as well, and it's pretty obvious like who's in charge, and she's one of them. You know, they're all scholars. They're native Hawaiians. These are people that are not these are not just anybody on campus like saying what they feel like, or saying like cut the team, I don't care. You know, this is actual people that are difference makers and are people that can be vocal. So if you can stop $1 billion telescope.
yeah. She had the power to cancel a football program too. But saying what I'm saying before is going back to the comment. She says, we don't fill the stadium, we don't watch the games. But what purpose does the team really serve these days? So what is the purpose? What is the purpose of UH football, Shane? What is the purpose? Oh.
Come on, Shane. You love it more than anything. You better come out with something, Shane.
That's what I said. That's the purpose, is to bring.
Yeah. That's fair too. Like that point is a fair point. I think I agree with that. UH football, in general, and sports in general, has always been a mechanism for galvanizing communities and bringing people together around a common identity, and Hawaii football is that identity, in my opinion. In a lot of ways, it's a sport that fills the stands the most, which is a community gathering where people of the community come together. It seems strange in these days, but there are once upon a time when we actually went out in big, large groups, and that's a part of community building. That's a part of the positivity, the vibe of a community, the optimism around a community. We've seen it with, I think, personally, places like Las Vegas, which I think UNLV, and they're a very successful basketball team, so obviously they have great programs there in Vegas already, but having the Knights there, I think, the hockey team has created this centerpiece wherein the whole community can gather together, and they can feel like this common identity and feel this common excitement, especially when you're winning, right? We talked about that, right? When you're winning, people should be coming to the games more, but that's the issue. So,
they're not,
she's saying, if Jamaica is saying, what's the purpose? We don't even fill the stands. And, we could say, well, we'll get better. Don't worry, we'll fill the stands when we get better. Well, we did get better. We won 10 games. We talked about this. The Army game, in 2011, we only won one game. We were 1-11. We beat Army, our last game of the year. That game, according to UH website, we had over 32,000 at that game. That was our one win of the whole year. Last game, 0-10, people still showed up, 32,000. This year, against San Diego, all the marbles, West title, West Division champions, 20,
Still less
according to
fans,
their 24, 5,000, and that's according to the inflated numbers, which are in box scores usually, and that's common everywhere, not just at UH. But if you go and check it out, so if we're saying like, people are saying stuff like the football program is not what it used to be, and I don't mean in terms of wins and losses. Maybe she has a point. She doesn't mean in terms of wins and losses. What she's saying is it's not the same, and that is our charge. I think as people, people want to call us super fans. Call me a super fan. That's fine. I mean, like it is in me. Everything is inside of me, in my DNA. This team, and has always been that way since I was a little kid, and everything I can remember. But like what you said earlier, what people don't get, some people grew up in traditional Native Hawaiian houses. For instance, I'm Hawaiian. I didn't grow up in the same kind of Native Hawaiian household. Wasn't privy to a lot of the same traditions that people that are, like, some people like to call more native or something, maybe. Their families might have passed on a tradition. For me, football was really a tradition, right? Just like for you. That was our tradition. And, we as people in Hawaii, this is why I say it's important to understand who we are as a people in Hawaii. So we are not like other Americans, but we have to juggle our identity as being American. And football, sports, is pretty American. American as, what we're saying. That's what football is. And we have really grasped that. We've really embraced that, I think, people in Hawaii and people who come from our traditions. And I think like that is the biggest point, is that people understand it is a part of our DNA. It's embedded inside of us, and it's a part of our common identity as local people, as this team. But we do need other people to understand the urgency of taking action right now and making sure you're there at the games, buying season tickets, doing whatever you need to do to ensure the survival of the team. Pretty simple, right? We are not here to just enjoy the team and get away with it and not have anything, no other repercussions. Like, we literally are year to year. We literally have to treat it like a privilege because, they receive funding from our legislature. They do receive, a little bit of funding. I think they're getting more now. UH, that is, UH Manoa and UH Hilo. And, it's up to their leadership to show, this is why I need this money. This is what I can do with the $5 million, or whatever you're giving me. I mean, that's a lot of money. I do a lot less with Hawaii Sports Fans, on about a tiny sliver of a percentage of that much. But, that's their job. It's not our job. It's our, as fans, it's our kuleana, maybe, what we say in Hawaii, right? It's like we feel that responsibility to keep our fan base tight and cultivated and together, because as we move forward into the future, we can't guarantee those same people who were there in the 70s and the 80s are still going to be there. We need to continue to develop that fan base. So.
Exactly.
But it's going to require vocal support. It's going to require visual support. Like, if they can't see it, if people on campus are saying, hey, you're not paying my adjunct professors. So Jamaica did respond. I also have that. And I'll read some of that. She responded to via Instagram because I posted it and she posted it back again. And she said, like, I stand by what I said, big time. Sports programs take more from our communities than they give. The current foot model doesn't work. $800K to a football coach in a university that fails to pay its adjuncts and graduate student workers a living wage doesn't work. Football budget is ballooned far past its benefit for the community, including the young men who play for the team. She goes on to talk about young, poor brown men, which other true facts, and toxic masculinity, all their true facts. But, these are all things that are part of sports culture in general. And a lot of people who are not sports people will make similar arguments. But I will focus on arguments that she's made that I'll say, okay, that's a reasonable argument. Because $800,000 is a lot of money, too, especially we're paying somebody that got a lot of money out of a settlement recently. And that's not on the principle, because I think the principle is he gets paid the salary that our administration, whatever they decide is right. We're certainly don't expect them to come and play, coach for free, but especially now in the era of coronavirus and financial uncertainty, once again, we are forced to really tell ourselves, what's important and where can we trim if we have to make leeway, if we have to make concessions, where are they going to do the trimming? Where are they going to, especially if there's no football season this year, or, because I don't think if there's no fans, there's no team, but that's kind of what I get to go through. But the remaining time, Shane, I made Shane the official question checker, because I'm over here, I'm covering my engineering board on my side, so Shane's got to be my spotter right now. This is what happens too. When
we got some comments.
We got some comments, or we got some questions. What other comments?
Yeah, both of those said, why does it not matter if not all local kids? It's about still representing the state and the Bows. Yeah, so
absolutely.
Basically,
great comment.
Because we got people from out of state that want to come here and play. Play for Hawaii. No matter where you are from, you play for the Bows.
And I think that's saying that when you play for Hawaii, though, you are an ambassador for Hawaii, not just the team and the school, but for the entire state. People look at you like, oh, you're from Hawaii, or like, oh, when I live in Hawaii, I like this or that. And you're an ambassador. People are looking at to you to give them vacation tips and other stuff about Hawaii. But other than that, this team is at the center of all of it. People don't realize that people actually live on this island, or that island. I'm not even in the island right now. People actually live on Oahu. People actually live in Hawaii. People have a team that they come around. They might not be an NFL team or a big team, but remember that this is a part of our fabric, this team. And to be able to keep that going, it means blending our mainland recruits and bringing what they bring, their diversity, the aspects of their life that they can bring to our team, our players, to help them grow and our players grow in a way that is, a holistic way of growing. That's what college is about. That's why football adds. That's another point I'm not going to bring up. I mean, that we didn't even bring up. It's like another major. It's the health aspect, the strategy aspect, the team aspect. It's it does a lot. Is the money high? Does it cost a lot? Yes, that's football. That's why there are only 130. Where are we at now? Division I FBS schools. There aren't that many in the country, so it is a privilege to have one, and people should remember that. Anything else, Shane? Come on, Shane. You gotta scour those comment sections, Shane. We don't want to cut off.
Shawnee, he says, sports can be the front porch of a university.
Yeah.
It can bring tremendous exposure to the school. It bonds the community if you invest and do it right. Yeah,
absolutely.
Definitely.
Absolutely. And that's
so it's like how we said, of course, if you win, they will come. Mm-hmm. But so we're wondering, how come Rolo had this 10-win season and we still could barely get 25,000 fans?
Yeah.
So, and we all talked about it. It's like about the experience too, and how the whole Aloha Stadium thing is ran. Yeah, it's like it's like they never saw how fun and how everybody was into that Rams Cowboys game. Can't they just take notes here and there to fix things? And like you yourself, you've been to multiple stadiums on the road, and you see what works.
And I think, like, places. Every place that I have been to, they also tailor what they do specifically to our fans. And there are some things I like. I love the Chihu Cam. I always go live on Facebook between third and fourth quarter for the Masese, for the Kapena action. But things like that, do those more often in the between. Play music and, keep fans engaged. That's the whole point, is to keep people engaged. And if you can't do that, you're going to lose fans. Regardless of how good your team is, it's going to be hard for you to get fans at home. Anything else, Shane? We're ticking some time down, but anybody else got any other questions?
Yeah, Brad says sports promote diversity.
Yes.
And health and wellness.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And as Shawnee has another good point, he said part of the reason Graham got hired was his success in community fundraising.
Yes.
Which, he does a lot of that stuff.
And
too.
you know, and that will be something of a more of a challenge, I think, for him as well. You know, we had a good fundraiser in Ben J, you know, who was our AD for a very short amount of time, but it's different fundraising at Hawaii than it is at the Ohio State University. So, like we said, different challenges. Understand, be sensitive to the fact that there are different challenges for being head coach of the University of Hawaii.
Especially for the University of Hawaii. It's a totally different animal.
Totally different animal.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to wind down. We got anything left, Shane? We got about an hour in now. We did Hawaiian time a little bit, so anything major, Shane, you see anything popping up, well, give some people some time. But tomorrow, just making some announcements, tomorrow we're going to have our special Raiders live stream. That's going to be at 3 o'clock Hawaii time, 6 o'clock, right here, same place, same channel, same station. And then 2 hours later, 5 o'clock, we're going to have our special Seahawks. Hawks. Boo. You know, I gotta give my my shout out, but I'll be hosting along Sean Eiman, who's going to be our Seahawks pro, and Sean Hildebrand, who you probably know, Oahu Raider on Twitter. Go follow him. He's our Raiders blogger. It's funny because here in California, I was playing. I ball with some guys at the gym that are huge Raider fans that follow Sean, and they're like, "Hey, I found your Twitter. I know who you are." Like random guys I play with, and like, this dude would share some of your posts. So I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And I'm like, "Damn, that's cool that he has like this really intense following, especially in Southern California, for a guy based in LA." But you know, he talked about to us. He shared how, you know, growing up in Orange County, the LA Raider time, and how that stuck with him. So one thing about all the content we share on, you know, our Hawaii Sports Fans channels is we bring the passion. We deliver the fan passion. We deliver more than just, you know, that. To us, it's more than just the game. It's something that's been in our blood, in our DNA, and that's hard to understand. It's hard to put a price tag more than anything else.
Exactly.
So, with that, Shane, aloha. We'll see you. You know, next. You know, what do you think? We should keep doing this. What do you think?
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, let's keep doing this. All right, guys. Yeah, Wednesdays at 5. We're gonna keep doing this.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
For the Lau head.
Questions, comments.
For the Lau head himself, Shane. I'm Wayne, Hawaii Sports Fans. See you next week. This is Wayne Coito, and here is your Hawaii Sports Fans Aloha Friday flashback. Go Pack Go! We head up north to Green Bay, Wisconsin to see the Packers and the Okay, I'm gonna stop that now. After seeing the Bows play in Madison, it was time to visit one of the NFL's most famous stadiums, Lambeau Field. We started with a visit to the Hall of Fame Museum, which chronicles the impressive rise of the franchise. Some of the coolest artifacts and stories from the past for every sports fan, not just those that love the green and gold. But the best part of it all might have been walking out on that mythical frozen tundra. We even got to do our own Lambeau Leap. Then it was time for Monday Night Football. We got there early for the many pregame festivities around the stadium, and we even got to see some legends from the past, turning one lifelong fan into a kid again. Kansas City's Jamal Charles rushed for 3 touchdowns that night, but the visitors couldn't contain the great Aaron Rodgers, who threw for 5 touchdowns, 3 alone to Randall Cobb. A visit to this town and its club, with a rich history spanning 100 years, is an absolute must for every sports fan. There's just simply no place like it. The aura, the majesty, it's all very real. It's that fan experience, and it's what we live for. Join us at hisportsfans.com.